I heard you say one time,
Yes,
like, "Please don't
please
let me
don't let
die."
me die. Please don't let me die. Like, I was like on some, don't let me die. Don't let me die. Call the ambulance.
An audio clip of a woman begging her friend to not let her lose her life has been going around on social media, with the public surprised that someone claiming to be her friend was also the one that stabbed her 6 times. Shanquella Robinson was one among the many cases that opened the public's eyes on these fake friends in our midst, who pretend to be our friends only for them to stab us in the back, or in Shanquella's case, entirely end a life. Unlike Shanquella, this new woman, Dejon Dajanae, was lucky enough to have gotten medical help, and she did an interview with a Chronicle Speaks.
Hi, everyone. This is Chronicle Speaks, and I am with Dejon Dajanae.
He was actually a friend to me, and that's the hardest part. You know, end up stabbing me 6 times.
Dejon claims that before the tragedy that happened to her, the two of them were actually good friends. They had been friends for about 6 months, and everything was going well until it wasn't. The entire incident seemed to have occurred because of a small argument that should have never escalated the way it did.
So what happened the night that you got stabbed, or the day that you got stabbed?
The day that I got stabbed, and I know it's so, the crazy story is like so crazy, like how it just went from this to that. Basically, we was in the house together.
The two friends had made plans of going out to take another of their friends to the airport, and in the process of trying to hurry out the house, Dejon realized she didn't have her phone with her, and so she started looking for it. Her friend, Abigail Seen, also joined in the search, and she must have seen the phone first because she asked Dejon why she couldn't see the phone, which according to her was in plain sight. Dejon said she could honestly not see the phone, and when she actually did see it, she realized it was in plain sight and she had overlooked it. The two friends then started arguing, with one claiming the other was such a baby and didn't like doing anything, and that's why she couldn't reach out for her own phone, while the other claimed she had not seen her phone, and if Abigail had seen it, why didn't she just get it for her or show it her so they could hurry out?
Where is it? You actually see my phone, like, with your eyes. Why you just can't tell me where my phone at, right?
Turns out the two verbally exchanged words with each other, with Dejon calling her friend childish and crazy. To her, they were just arguing, and she didn't think it would get out of hand. She never expected her own friend to hurt her. Remember this video of Shanquella happily looking for her friends several hours before they turned on her and ended her life. Well, turns out it's not easy to spot fake friends, and even those you think have your back are actually the ones plotting against you. Dejon herself has expressed that as much as she now knows that Abigail was never her friend, it never occurred to her that she would physically hurt her. So when Abigail took a knife in her hands, she just asked what the knife was for.
Yes, I did call her crazy.
Okay.
And then she goes and say to me, "Oh, I'm gonna show you crazy. I'm gonna show you crazy."
Abigail then proceeded to prove to her friend that she was actually crazy by going on a crazy knife stabbing frenzy on her. Dejon was so surprised that all she could do was scream in agony as her friend Merciless stabbed her across her back thigh and finally stomach. It was at this point that Dejon started begging her friend to stop and not let her die, and from their hotel's camera audios, we can hear her scream of agony as she tried to plead with her friend to stop hurting her.
Up, and all I see is her doing this, and I try to grab her hand. Right? I'm unable to actually grab her hand, and then she actually goes boom, boom.
Dejon claims she could feel every knife stab as it plunged into her body, and she couldn't really believe that the person inflicting the pain on her was her own friend. She has later found out that Abigail has a history of stabbing because she allegedly stabbed her own brother some years back but wasn't charged with any crime. Dejon then opened the door and went outside screaming for help. At first, because it was dark outside, people thought she was laughing to death. She was dying, but it wasn't from laughter. She was literally holding her insides in her hands. Dejon must have felt so lost and helpless with her assaulter at her back and people not realizing that she was in need of help. So she went back into the house to get her phone and try getting help by herself.
So on the camera, she went to the room to pack her bag, and she walking out the room, and a mutual friend of ours goes to ask what happened, and she says with no remorse, no nothing, she literally says, "I told her to leave me alone."
Instead of feeling remorse for what she had done, Abigail was being rude and didn't offer any help to her friend. If she was any friend, she would have at least called the ambulance on her, but she didn't. This coincides with the Kaibo 6, who could have looked for medical attention for Shanquella earlier on, or they could have just told the truth on her condition, and maybe, just maybe, things wouldn't have turned out the way they did.
Like, of course, people around me calling the police. So then when the police got there, I'm thinking I'm relieved. So that's when I collapsed.
The arrival of police was a lighthouse to Dejon, who knew help was coming, even though that thought was shattered when instead of physical help, they told her the ambulance was 6 minutes away, on its way to her. She was lying on the floor with her hands holding her insides in immense pain, and this news made her give up, and she started asking the police to help her out of her misery by ending her life. She then remembered her family and sisters and realized she had to lie, at least for her family. Eventually, the ambulance did show up, but they were also not helping her situation, but asking her questions about who she was and if she knew where she was. Luckily, one of the police officers realized the pain she was in and asked the caregivers to put her to sleep. She woke up in hospital with her wounds patched up, and the only thing that was seriously affected was her stomach, which had to be cut and reduced before they closed her up.
But turn her ass the fuck in now. Like, what? I actually low-key got mad with him. I'm like, why are you even asking me this? Are you working with her? Are you...
Right.
Like, I was on his ass for a good-ass minute. Like, a couple of hours. He was like, no. He had to reassure me. I'm turning her in now. I'm going, I'm setting it up now. Like, he had to reassure me. Like, he was genuinely asking,
Okay.
Like, he was genuinely asking, what did I want to do?
Abigail had fled the scene of her crime and had called her boyfriend to pick her up, but he later called Dejon in hospital to know about her condition. He then told her that he was with Abigail and he wanted to know what Dejon wanted to do with her. Obviously, Dejon asked him to turn her in, and he took his girlfriend to a chicken place where Abigail was later apprehended. For Dejon, justice is on its way, and hopefully after some few years, she would be able to heal from the physical and emotional trauma. Dejon's claims she would like to face her assaulter in court to see what she was feeling after what she did to her. She would like to look her in the eyes and see whether there was any remorse in them or if she still doesn't feel she did anything wrong. She also said she would like Abigail to serve a sentence of about 20 to 25 years, and maybe then she would be healed enough to meet her. She said 2 decades with therapy was enough to help Abigail change her life around and be a better person. Dejon posted her story in her GoFundMe page and said, "My name is Dejon Dajanae Harrison. I was recently stabbed by a former friend 6 times, which caused my intestines to literally come out of my stomach. I had to hold them in my hands until the ambulance arrived. It was so scary. Everything happened so fast. I'm in so much pain at the moment." All of this over a petty argument amongst friends. She then went ahead and requested financial and emotional help from her GoFundMe, saying, "If you know me personally or know of me, you would know I am a person who almost never asks for help or any handouts. But a helping hand right now would be greatly appreciated. I will be able to focus on making a recovery. All expenses will go towards medical bills. I don't have insurance, my home bills, and any other expenses for myself until I'm able to recover and work again. If you're unable to help, a share, prayer, and words of wisdom goes a long way. Thank you." Hers and Shanquella's story send a message to the people around us, the people we allow into our lives, as our friends have the ability to either build us or break us, and that we should be very careful on who we choose. On fake friends, a fan on Twitter said, "Better to have an enemy who slaps you in the face than a friend who stabs you in the back." Fake friends are no different than shadows. They stick around during your brightest moments, but disappear during your darkest hours. Another said, "All you need to know about fake friends, their hugs are actually stabs. They wear beautiful masks to conceal their inner ugliness. They use you until done. They are worse than the enemy." Anyways, let's not forget that this video is based on theories and my opinions and should not be considered facts. That's it for this video. Bye.